Disappointed? Yes. Surprised? No. The last 6 months I've been doing really well, but recently I've been wondering when the bottom was going to drop out. I've got a new toy. Gonna pre-warm it. I think that's what you're supposed to do. So I'm going to do a couple of meals that you can do with pastry because I've got enough pastry for 2 meals and I don't want to waste it. So first cab off the rank is going to be a bacon and egg pie with a mildly mouldy onion because that's what I've got. I do apologise for the lighting, but I can assure you it tastes better if you can't see it. Salt and pepper. Of course, bacon. I think 2 should do it. It's a pastry that's almost defrosted. I'm just going to put it by the fire and try and warm it up a little bit. Looking like quite the ambitious bacon and egg pie at this point. The pastry's stupid sizes and this is probably a stupid idea. Note to self, overlap the pastry not on the hinge. Let's throw it in the fire and see what mess we can make. But currently it is very much trying to spew the egg out the side. So it's been about 20 minutes. There's a bit of pressure built up in there too. That's one good looking bacon and egg jaffle. Question now is it cooked? So it was about 20 minutes on the coals. Looks like it's cooked perfectly. So now to taste it. So lesson there is, I think, 1 egg, half an onion, and a couple of rashers of bacon. You can never have too much bacon. There wasn't enough room for the puff pastry to puff, so the pastry is very dense. So it's a new and interesting way of making the bacon egg pie. I'm not sure why you would, but I tried it so you don't have to. Life tends to get on top of you sometimes. It's accumulation of things, it's never just one thing. Winston Churchill. Success is the ability to go from one failure to another without loss of enthusiasm. So the plan from here is we're going to head to Landrover. Clean up the table. If you didn't see the making of that, check out Well Hung, which is down below. And after much deliberation and consideration, I've decided that it's definitely a running in thermals kind of day. Days like this, you feel like a fraud, so far off your game. It takes so much to get into it, but just going to put a foot in front of the other and do it. One thing that I can't get past, blows me away every time, is people that bring music into the outdoors. Don't get me wrong, I'm a bit scared to be alone with my own thoughts sometimes too, but nature is one heck of a distraction. You're right, so I just ran backwards and forwards across that bridge. And yes, it was for no reason. It goes to Mangati Popo Hut, which I'm not going to. I didn't realise that at the time. And cinematic goodness like that doesn't come along very often. It's all about you guys. So don't forget to like and subscribe. Sub 1 hour, 57 minutes. Pretty happy with that. Initially I contemplated this as a camp spot, which you can sort of see why. But see, we can't have fires here. It's a nice quiet spot for lunch. We'll brew up another coffee and pick up some rubbish. Disappointed? Yes. Surprised? No. Where there's people, there's rubbish. If you can get a vehicle in there, there'll be more. So no, that was nothing intense, and that's fine. For me, it's about driving to a level that I'm comfortable and finding what I'm comfortable doing with my vehicle. Because let's face it, we've all seen a Suzuki Swift on its roof at a T intersection before when someone ran out of skill. Google said this was the fastest way. Screw you, Google. So that's Okupata Caves, and very, very hard to leave when there is a tomtit being very, very cute and hanging around the Landrover and swooping me and just creating fantastic photo opportunities. Mill campsite, which is quite a way off the main road, and beautiful and quiet. Now, the reason I'm not going to stay here is because you're not allowed fires here. Some people aren't quite aware of that, it seems. So I would put the drone up and show you what it looks like from the air, but I don't have a drone, so I won't do that. So it's pretty much what it looks like. It's quite a big expanse, and heaps of birdsong on the way in, so I'll definitely be coming back here on a night when I'm not planning on cooking on fire. Can't think of his name, from Overland NZ, raves about this campsite. I can see why, just because it's so out of the way but accessible. I'm actually hanging out for an ice cream right now of all random things, and you needed to know that because it actually leads into a bit of a tangent. Christmas Day, December 2017. I dropped the boys off after having my Christmas with them and loaded my bike into my Morris Minor and headed for National Park to ride into Whakahoro for 2 days. This is another example of bikepacking trips when my mental health's a little bit fragile, but I'm yet unwilling to admit it, or unaware of it in this case. Up to the Mangaparua Trig for a coffee at the View and home. Got to Whakahoro at 6:30 at night. There's a campsite full of strangers. A stranger asked me, "How are you?" I found myself having to fight back tears because I realised in that moment that I weren't okay. So the next morning I head up to the trig, I have my coffee and ride back down the Kaiwaku. I found myself yet again rushing my trip, and I told myself if I'm back by 1 o'clock, I'll head back out and go home. What I failed to clarify at this part of the story is the anxiety of being away from home that led me to push what was possible to rush back home. It wasn't that I needed to get home for any other reason other than the fact that I didn't feel comfortable being away from home, although I loved getting out. It ended up being 1:30 and I decided that I was still going to pack up and head home. I'd cooked myself after 12 hours on the bike, and I rolled into the servo at National Park after 80 kilometres, which was a massive day for me then.
10 minutes before closing. And as they're taking in their signs and otherwise, I grab myself a pie, a Red Bull, a Powerade, and I think some chocolate. I sat on the forecourt and inhaled the whole lot while they closed up around me. Loaded my bike back into the Maury and drove home. Absolutely shattered. So good. Always have a laugh about National Park Servo, and it just holds that memory for me. And so that was a nice little tangent for you, but if Simon Whistler can do tangents and have millions of subscribers, hi Simon, so can I. And just kidding, no, Simon doesn't follow me. Fat boy's got far too much coach to be doing. Not going to sit here and have them this time. Seriously, how good is the descent down into the Ruatiri Valley?
Going to call it that they exceeded expectations, and yet again proves there's so much to see, even in places you've been to before. So I harvested a bit of firewood on the way as well, a whole heap of tree fall and otherwise, so collected that up. I have to say, one of the best bits of kit I've brought is my folding pruning saw. Let me know down in the comments what your best bit of kit, what your best kit purchase is. Tonight I'm going to do camp oven pizza. I believe this is a thing. Stick it on baking paper. It's easier to get it out of the camp oven. So for a pizza base, I'm using gluten-free pastry like I did last night for dinner. Nice trivet size pizza. Dairy-free mozzarella. It's as tasty as it sounds. Spread my sauce around. I could actually do with a little bit more sauce. It appears that I haven't got much more sauce. And plum would work so much better with chicken, but salami travels a lot better. Throw on some feta as well. Those with the keen eye will have noticed that I'm using dairy-free mozzarella, but yet I'm having feta. And weirdly, most dairy messes me up horrendously. I can get away with feta and not have any major problems. I don't know why, just can. Now, zest some cheese. So for those who have never had the pleasure of having some vegan cheese type stuff, it resembles nothing like cheese, as you'd probably imagine. And this is the cheapest, nastiest salami that you can get. It's not even pepperoni because that's got chilies, and yep, I take the fun of everything. Or my body does, so we're just having a nice salami instead. So that ready to go in the fire, on the fire. Put a lid on it, take it over to the fire. So I don't want to let you in on too much of a secret, but I'm not quite sure what I'm doing. So I want most of my heat on the top so that the toppings melt and the meat cooks, the cheese melts before the pastry gets carbonated. So it's been 20 minutes, so I'm going to take it off and have a look and see how it looks. Looks very much like I'm having pizza for breakfast. Good morning. No, I'm kidding, it's been 20 minutes, so pizza's been on for 40 minutes. So now it's time to remove some of this stuff and see if it's time to eat. And we're about as good as we're going to get. Just going to try and crisp the base up a little bit on the skillet. I think I'm going to have to call it inconclusive. It's not quite working. Embarrassing. Well, I can say that it's the first time I've ever eaten pizza with a fork. I also didn't go hungry. Just may wish that I did. Wasn't too bad. Will I be doing it again? No. Do I recommend it? Also no. But trying new things beats the hell out of eating packet pasta. Packet anything. So get out there and give it a go. Something different. Not pizza with a pastry base in your camp oven. Kinda sucks. Well, so much for my plans of getting up and sitting by the fire and just wasting the morning away. It's attempting to rain, everything's getting just a little bit damp. So the only thing for it is coffee and a nice chill breakfast and see what becomes of the weather, but I don't think it'll be much. However, once again, a nice short weekend trip with no expectations has turned out to be fantastic and left me with a lot of inspiration for future trips. Again, not far from home. But in the meantime, I think I'm probably going to call it there. So I hope you've enjoyed this little journey that turned out to be a whole lot more adventurous than I expected. See you on the next one.